Hey everyone, it's Nightlight9, and in this video we're playing Last Epoch, and we are going over the Lagon fight. Why? Because so far, after about, 10 to 12 hours of playing this game, and this is my first playthrough playing a Void Knight, I can tell you that Lagon is the first bit of content that isn't just super easy. Everything else that I did up to this point was quite easy. I might have died one or two times on a boss here or there, but by the third time at most, it was a piece of cake. This fight, though, it's kind of annoying, and it does take a while, so when you lose, it can be quite frustrating, especially when you've tried it 5, 10, or more times. I can tell you I lost about probably 15 or so times to him before I decided I needed to go level up some more. I was 55 the first time, and then, leveled 3 levels, came back, and it was a little bit easier. And one of the things that made it easier here, you can see I'm sitting on 1030 health. I was at about like 870 to 900 at level 55, and I also respect and stuff, so kind of a lot goes into that. But I would say this: when you're setting up for this fight, you definitely want a certain HP threshold. Probably over 1,000 is pretty good. Other than that, you want physical resistance. Lightning resistance wouldn't hurt. That probably would have helped me quite a bit more too, because I got one shot a lot of times. And even in the guide that you're about to watch, if I would have gotten hit dead on by a couple of those abilities, it would one-shot me. Physical resistance is also important. Here, I'm just set up for physical resistance, stun resistance, because believe me, he will stun you. There are several different moves that can, and it sucks if you get stunned into a one-shot kill. And then void damage, because I'm a Void Knight. That's kind of what I'm doing. And I'll show you my skills really quickly. I'm basically set up to enable myself with Anomaly so that I get critical hit chance, basically, and then some life leech and stuff. And then if I don't have mana, I can use Rive. And if I do, I'm using Warpath until all my mana is depleted, and then I'm restoring it with Rebuke. And I'll show you real quickly how that works. So here, this is the skill increase critical chance, and I have not respected these since I began, so they're not the best. But you get the idea basically. So then Warpath. The number one thing here is the fact that it can echo, and the fact that it has this Warrior's Fury, so it's doing 20% additional damage every second that it's being channeled, which is why I'm going to do it all the way to the end. There's also Armor Shred and some stuff like that happens on it. So using that, then coming over here to Rebuke, where I have Battle Meditation, using that for 100% mana regen, also some extra heal, and then I'm repeating that over and over again. Normally, Erasing Strike is my number one farming utility, but it just takes up too much mana and doesn't ultimately do enough damage to the boss to make it worth using in this fight. So now that you've seen the full setup and everything that I've got, like I said, the equipment, it's nothing fancy. Most of it is just whatever I've gotten along the way. I haven't really done a lot of grinding, and most of this is not even, my max level of equipment. So that's what we're using. Also, I don't even have my idols maxed out, although I do have the slots maxed out. And so if you're fighting him and you don't have your passive points or your idol slots maxed, that's something I would probably take 20 minutes 30 minutes to go do, just to make your life a little bit easier. So without further delay, we will go ahead and get into the fight. Okay, so first thing we're going to do here is we're going to run up the stairs, and I'm going to kind of preemptively buff myself with the bubble. You'll see that happening now, and then just hold down my W key or whatever key you've bound Warcry to. I'm just spinning around to get as much damage off as I can, and then queuing to regen the mana. The things we're going to do is we're going to keep running down to the lower left corner there of those stairs. Why? Because the big bolts that he shoots out of his mouth can't hit you down here. However, the big round white thing that appears and blows up on the screen, that can. So you'll have to constantly keep running from down there. You see that thing there? It can hit down here as well. So that's the strategy. We're just going to keep spinning around recharging our mana, I'll usually go down here to do the mana recharge, and you'll see like once I've, kind of depleted everything, then I'll just go ahead and I'll hold the Q and I'll recharge the mana. So here's the spin, doing that now, avoiding all the other stuff. Then you come down here, I'm jamming Q here, holding it. You'll see the mana fills up quite faster. One thing to note, if you're playing Void Knight, is if you have Rebuke there, which is my Q move, if you can keep it charged through the explosion, it will save you. So that's that. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the remainder of this first part of the fight, just because it's just the same thing over and over. Alright, and then at about 60% HP, he sends you down here where you started, and essentially you just have to run around and kill all of the tentacles so that you can get warped back up to finish off the fight against him. Nothing changes after this part in what I call the third part of the fight. It's literally just a copy of what you were doing right before you got here. If anything, I think it just kind of sucks because it throws you off a little bit, because you note that, he was doing a pattern, right, where he's throwing the wide sweeping one, then a little bit later he's doing the circle explosion move, and then he's giving you a break to do some DPS, then he's doing that same pattern over and over again. So you kind of had it down, then you get pulled into here, and it takes just enough time that you kind of maybe forget the pattern, and it is very annoying when you lose after this point. But here it is. We're going to rinse and repeat exactly what we did in part 1, and I don't believe that those minions down there can actually hit you, but I'm not 100% certain. All right, and that is the entirety of the Lagon fight. Hopefully it helped you clear it. I can tell you this fight does take quite a bit of time. It's about 8 minutes long without speeding it up 40% like I did for this video. And I just wanted to show a Void Knight because one, that's the only character I've done it with, and two, I think it is a little bit different for a melee character, although the general strategy of going down to the safe spot and then hitting the damage and just avoiding the explosions is going to be the same. Subscribe for future content if you're not already. If you are, I appreciate each and every one of your support, and as always, thanks for watching.